Hey BookTube, here is my wrap up for the book Buddyathon. I'm Jen and I talk about audiobooks, and boy did I have a great time with the book Buddyathon. I had the absolute best buddy of all. I know you all who did this readathon think you got the best buddy, but you really did not. I'm sorry to say I got the best one, and it was Michaela of Michaela Eve Reads, who I am still talking to about books and life and stuff and kids and the weather and everything. And I'm so grateful for this readathon because I wouldn't know her nearly as well as I do. She's in Australia, I'm in the US. She's 14 hours ahead of me, so when I talk to her, I'm talking to the future, which I think is very cool. She's talking to the past. And so it's interesting trying to coordinate when to talk because we have to kind of hit the times when we're both awake. And with 14 hours difference, that is kind of an interesting thing to manage because, you know, when it's 8 o'clock in the morning here, it's 10 o'clock at night there. Fortunately, she's a real early bird and I can stay up. So yeah, we read some really fun books and I think we met all of the challenges. And oddly, very oddly, I hardly listened to a book. I read books on my iPad or in print, and I'm a little shocked to say that, but I really did. And we read some good stuff. So let me just tell you about what we read. First of all, we needed to read a book together. So for that one, we read The Queen of All That Dies, and this is by Laura Thalassa. It's not out on audio, and Laura Thalassa is an author I had read before, but I didn't know she did this trilogy. This is the Queen of All That Dies trilogy. We loved this book. This is a dystopian about a girl who is a soldier. She's the daughter of a general, and she has grown up in a United States that is at war with the rest of the world. And by that I mean the North American and South American continents are kind of one half of the war, and then the enemy is everybody else. And the other side is ruled by a king, and he's a ruthless king, and when emissaries go to talk to him, he kills them. So it's a pointless endeavor to go and try and lobby for peace. But they get to the point where they're losing the war, and so it becomes apparent that her dad, who was in diplomatic service before the war started, before the collapse happened, he needs to be the one to go talk to this king. So he takes this main character, this girl, along with him. Her name is Serenity. And she is kind of in training, kind of apprenticed to her dad to become kind of an emissary. And so the king, of course, takes one look at her and falls instantly in love. And he is such an anti-hero. And she is such a feisty, she's a soldier. And so she has to dress up and kind of mingle with all these people that have all this money and lack for nothing while, you know, her half of the world is starving. And so she works a peace agreement out. And part of that is that she has to marry this king. So it brings both sides together. And then the book goes from there. And wow. This woman can write. I'm not kidding you. She can weave a story that just grabs you and just did not let me go. I gave this book 5 stars. And, you know, I rate books largely on entertainment value, and this one really had me. The characters were complex, and the whole situation, I didn't question what was happening. There weren't big plot holes. The pacing, it moved along really well. I loved it. I loved it, and so did Michaela. So, you know, that was a great start to the readathon. Well, I continued on. She was going to, but I couldn't stop. I just had to keep reading. So I read the second book, which was The Queen of All Traitors, and then the third book, which was The Queen of All Who Lives. And All That Lives. And the whole trilogy was just so good. I did not give the second and third books 5 stars. I think there were just a few flaws with them. Not that there weren't a few flaws with the first book, but the first book of a series, when the series is really good, is always the standout. So great, great series. And I'm really hoping Michaela gets a chance to read the next two books, because she said she wanted to kind of stretch it out. And I tried to stretch it out, but it was so hard because it's just such a great series. And in fact, I would easily pick that up again, like today, again, and read it. It was that good. Then we read A Week of Mondays, and that's by Jessica Brody. And we did that because that met the challenge of the first letter of your buddy's name had to be in the title or in the author's name somehow. Well, Jessica Brody, and my name's Jen, so J. So we read that one. That was a 3-star book for me, and for Michaela as well, I think. It's YA contemporary, and it's about a girl who her Monday goes terribly wrong, and she has to repeat it for a week. And so it's kind of like Groundhog Day, and she keeps trying to get it right, and finally she does. And it, you know, of course, it's one of those, you know, you don't know what you have right in front of you until you realize that everything you want is right in front of you. So it was kind of cute. And Jessica Brody, she's a decent writer, so yeah, solid 3-star book, YA contemporary, and I'm kind of losing my taste for that lately, but you know, it was good enough. And it's not available on audio, so I read it on my iPad. And then we read 26 Kisses. This is by Anna Michels, and that was for Michaela. And that's about a girl who is, her boyfriend breaks up with her. And she's devastated, of course, because he was her first boyfriend, her only boyfriend, and she loves him. And her best friend says, I think you should go through the alphabet and kiss boys, one for each letter of the alphabet. So 26 kisses. It doesn't have to be a boy. It can be just someone. And at one point she kisses a dog, like she lets him lick her. And at another point she like kisses an older man on the cheek. And, you know, it just becomes kind of a game. At first she's reluctant to do it, but then as time goes on, it really becomes the story of her getting past this, you know, huge heartbreak and realizing that there is going to be more to her life than just that. So I gave it 3 stars. I liked it a little better than A Week of Mondays. It's a completely different kind of book. It's, again, YA contemporary, but the main character was a little bit different in that she was a little more skeptical of the world, a little less pie in the sky kind of, you know, I don't know. She was very different, and I thought she was a little bit refreshing. We picked up 6 of Crows to read because that met the challenge of a book with pictures that has a couple of maps in it, but we really couldn't get into it. 6 of Crows by Leigh Bardugo is a book that you need to pay attention to. You need to not have anything extraneous going on because you need to pay attention. There are a lot of characters, and it's about a heist, and it's about a group of thieves who have an agenda, and so you have to kind of get the backstory and know what the agenda is. It just, yeah, you need to pay attention to it. I tried listening to it on audio a couple of times, but I was doing other things and I was distracted, and I thought, I need to put this aside for a time when I can pay attention. Well, fortunately, Michaela was doing the same thing. So instead, we picked up Illuminae. We had both read this before, and we read it again, and this time I tabbed the heck out of it. Just places where I thought, you know, they were interesting, and in fact, one of the places, it shows a kind of a listing of all the people that died, and I went back through and looked and found all the famous people, like the authors that they knew, that they included in that list, just fictional people. So they were fictionally dead. They're actual authors. But anyway, so we really enjoyed that. And then I picked up Amour, which Michaela had already read. This is by Krista and Becca Ritchie. And I had been meaning to read that for a while, and it wasn't out on audio. Well, it has recently come out on audio. So it was narrated by Ava Erickson, and it is about the circus. It's about a girl who is a gymnast, and she really wants to go be in the circus in a group like Cirque du Soleil. And so it's she's like Like she performs up high with a hoop and with silk, you know, like the silks that hang down, and like those amazing people, the acrobats that can wind themselves up and do all just beautiful things. And so it's all about that. And she meets a guy who is a Russian, and he has an act, and his partner has gotten injured, so they're looking for someone new, and she auditions. A romance develops, and it's very Russian. This Russian family has been in this business for a long time, and it is a organization like Cirque du Soleil, so you have to be the best of the best in order to get into it. So it's just the story of how she deals with, you know, going to Vegas all by herself to audition for this thing, and then living in Vegas and getting by, and just kind of a bit of a coming of age story, certainly a romance, and I liked it. I don't know that I liked it as much as Michaela did. I ended up giving it 3 stars, but to be honest, some of that might have been the narration. I thought it was okay. I didn't love it. I didn't think it was fabulous. Ava Erickson did an okay job with it. I don't really have any complaints about the narration, but yeah, the story overall I thought was okay. It was good. And then, because Michaela had just finished this series, I picked up The Mistake by Elle Kennedy. On audio, that is narrated by Lorelei Avalon, and I didn't think I was going to like the narration for this book, but I loved it. It's about hockey players, and it's just new adult contemporary and cute story. I really liked it. I really liked the narration. The characters behaved in ways that I questioned at times, but you know, it was an enjoyable read, and I ended up giving it 4 stars. And I followed that up with The Deal, which is book 2 in that series, and I liked it a little better. And actually, that's Michaela's favorite of the series, and I liked it a lot. I think that it follows a couple of different characters who were referenced in the first book, and completely different situations. I ended up giving that one 4 stars too. I really liked it. I'm on to the 3rd book now. I don't like it nearly as much, and I've switched from the audio to the ebook because the narrators have changed, and I don't like the narrators nearly as much, and the main character I don't like at all, so we'll see where that goes. Overall, I had a great readathon. I can't believe that out of 11 books, 6 of them, which is over half of them, were not on audio. And you know me, I'm the audiobook queen. So anyway, if you've read any of those books and you have any opinions on them, let me know. And especially if you've read The Queen of All That Dies, that series, let me know if you did the book Buddyathon and what you read, because I'm always interested. And that's it for now for me. I will see you next time. Thanks for watching.